But yeah, it's gonna be another great cruise adventure, the first cruise of 2023, but definitely not the last. Good morning, y'all. We are on our way to the airport. Carlos is chauffeuring me this morning. Say hi.
Hi.
I'm going on Carnival Elation, solo this time, and but Carlos was kind enough to offer to take me there, so I could save some money on Uber costs and parking my car and whatever else. But yeah, it's gonna be another great cruise adventure, the first cruise of 2023, but definitely not the last. Some cool adventures coming up for sure, but stay tuned for all that. Anyway, I think that's it for now. We're just on the road, but I thought I would get an update in for you all this morning before we got there, and it got all crazy, and then I forget to document stuff. But anyway, yeah, we'll talk soon. So we made our way down the freeway and got off at the exit towards the airport, and then we pulled into the airport complex and whipped around, and Carlos then of course dropped me off at the curb, and I went inside and checked in for my flight, which was pretty smooth and painless, especially compared to how it normally is in the early morning. It was actually kind of in the middle of the day, which isn't normal for me, but I found an afternoon flight that got me to Jacksonville relatively early, and so I made my way through security and then up to a restaurant to grab some food. I grabbed a BLT along with a Bloody Mary, which was good, not great, and I'm always reminded that that bar does not have good Bloody Marys, even though I continue to order them and forget every time I go. But anyway, from there I made my way over to the gate. I was a little bit worried about flying Southwest because this was a couple days after their big meltdown, but everything went smoothly, and I didn't even have a single delay at all. And of course I had a cocktail and a snack while I was on the plane, and this flight attendant actually brought me the shooter and the Coke and the ice separately so that I could mix it myself, which was very appreciated. I had originally booked this cruise solo, and I of course had my own cabin and everything, but then when my friend Trey found out that I was on the sailing, he asked if it would be okay if he tagged along, and so he booked his own stuff and met me at the airport, and we decided to share a hotel room in Jacksonville for the night, which was good because it obviously meant he got to help share some of the cost of that and stuff, and so it ended up working out really nicely. I'd actually met him on the Carnival Conquest, and we just kind of kept in touch, and then now we decided to actually hang out on a cruise ship again. And even though I've kept in touch with people from almost every single sailing I've been on, that's actually the first time that's happened, but I'm sure it won't be the last. But before I knew it, I was landing in Jacksonville, and one thing that I noticed right away were these rocking chairs. That's actually where my friend Trey was waiting for me. When we got to our hotel room, we decided to go have some food at Buffalo Wild Wings, and we met up with Doug Parker, who's a friend of mine that I met on the Carnival Liberty, who lives in Jacksonville, and you probably know him from his cruiseradio.net website and also his Cruise Radio YouTube channel and other associated social media accounts. But yeah, definitely go check him out if you haven't already. And then after dinner, Trey and I went back to the hotel and decided to call it a night. Good morning, friends. It is cruise day, so I am out on the balcony of this room that I booked. It's kind of interesting because so the main building is over there, right? And then you have to go through this kind of like garden wing to get to where I'm staying. And it's a little bit of a maze. Like the hallway is quite a bit longer and deeper and further in than I've ever had to go before. So I was surprised when I got here last night that was the setup. But with my Hilton Honors, whatever, I don't know, status, I was able to get this balcony type room for the same price as their standard. So I just went ahead and did that. And it's been fine. I don't know, like, that a balcony in a room like this for one night makes a whole lot of sense. But if I was staying here for a few days, then this would be a nice place to come out and sit. It's, as you could see, right adjacent to the pool. It's a little chilly this morning, but during the day, I'm sure that pool is just fine to get into and what have you. But yeah, so that's the room. I'm getting ready to head over to the cruise port here in about 15-20 minutes, and then we'll get the whole embarkation thing started. You can definitely hear airplanes in the background because I'm right next to the airport. This is actually walking distance to the airport, which is cool, but also comes with noises and things. I could hear those planes in the middle of the night, so something to consider. This is the DoubleTree in Jacksonville by the airport. So yeah, anyway, I'll take you with me. We'll see what we see. We'll do what we do, and we'll talk soon.
So we hung out at the hotel for a little bit. We'd actually gotten up pretty early because Trey is platinum with Carnival, and at this point in time I was only red, although on my next Carnival sailing I will have a gold card. And he wanted to get to the ship as early as possible, and of course I agreed with that as well. So we skipped breakfast. Sadly, there's no coffee review in this series, but I'll be staying at this hotel again the next time I'm in Jacksonville, and I'll be sure to try out the coffee for you all on that one. We called an Uber, which came pretty quickly, and then we made our way over to the cruise port to check in. When we got there, it was pretty crowded. The sailing in front of us wasn't fully disembarked yet, so they weren't letting people on board the ship yet. And since Trey is platinum, he got to go to the priority line, and I got put into the main line. So I had to stand there for a little bit, but once they started calling boarding groups and people started getting on board the ship, the line started to process through like normal, and it moved pretty quickly at that point. As usual, we made our way up the gangway. The Jacksonville cruise terminal and port reminds me of Baltimore a little bit, and since they had us entering the gangway at the atrium level, we had to zigzag our way up several ramps before making our way through the gangway door. But soon we were in the lobby atrium, and the first thing I noticed is just how grand it is. It was pretty obvious to me that this ship was from a different era. Cruise ships now are very minimalist, very modern looking, but this was very ornate. It almost reminded me of like the Titanic interior, just the kind of rich colored wood and the like sort of fancy decorative railings and stuff. Trey was already on board and exploring, so I made my way up to the pool deck, which I found surprisingly large for such a small ship, and people were already up there hanging out and having drinks and stuff, and so I made my way over to Blue Iguana for a burrito. While I was eating my burrito, I ran into Trey. He had just had a guy's burger, and so we went to the bar and grabbed a drink, and after hanging out up there for a little bit, we made our way to our rooms, which ended up being right across the hall from each other.
Alright y'all, so I am on board. I have a porthole room, which is always nice, always fun. So far the ship is really unique. I can definitely see why people love the fantasy class so much. This is my first fantasy class ship, and this ship has a little bit of a special connection for me because my grandfather invited me on a cruise, and I wasn't able to go. And then a year later, my sister went, and the cruise ship that they went on was the Elation out of Southern California, out of Long Beach. And I always regretted not trying harder to make that happen. And it wasn't, I didn't like, shut him down or anything about it. I was interested in going, but it just, I was in the Army, and I felt like it was going to be too much of a hassle to get like approval and whatever. Well, my grandfather died last year, well actually in December of 2021. And so we just celebrated his life after 1 year of death. So I booked this cruise in sort of tribute to him, and I was wanting to try the fantasy class, and that class is slowly but surely going away. So anyway, that's the whole point of this cruise for me. So a little bit of sentimental reasons why I'm here, but I'm still looking to have a real good time because that's what he would have wanted me to do. Anyway, I guess that's it for now. I'm gonna go find some stuff to do. Yeah, I want to thank you all for traveling with me. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, all those fun things. We'll talk soon, and y'all have a good night.